Hello Power Rangers fans and welcome back to Toku Topics. Today I'm very excited to bring you the Triple Transforming Megazord from Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. What a thing! So I've always kind of wanted one of these once I knew that it existed. So for many years I had never seen this thing before, ever, at all. But basically like 3 years ago when I was living in the dorms, which I still obviously am, my roommate Keyshawn brought me this thing. Just this. The Red Ranger helmet from this Megazord, because he actually owned this when he was a kid, because he got into Power Rangers even before I did, when he was actually part of the target demographic. When I got into it, it was a little bit past the target demographic age that I probably should have gotten into it, so I never had anything toy-wise prior to Samurai, but he did. However, he didn't actually have this toy, he just had the helmet that goes with the main combination for it. But the second that I looked up what piece that came with, I loved the design of this thing, and I finally was able to pick one up at Power Morphicon this past fall. So you probably already saw this kind of briefly. I didn't really focus on it too much, but it appeared in the background of the video. You might be seeing it in kind of a clip from the vlog series there. But when I bought it, it was incomplete. It was out of the box. It was missing only a couple of pieces. I actually have two of these heads now because I still have the one that Keyshawn gave me, and the one I bought at Morphicon did come with one as well. But the reason why I'm doing the video now, like 5 months later, is I was finally able to track down all of the missing pieces that I did not have. So what I was missing was the Blue Ranger helmet version of this thing. So I bought this off of eBay for, I don't even remember what this was. In fact, there's just going to be a picture of it up right now. This is how much I paid for this item, which I got in December. And then I bought the sword next, which I think this was like $8 or so that I paid for this. Once again, the eBay listing will be popping up. And then finally, the hardest piece to track down, because I couldn't find a good picture of what it was actually supposed to look like, was the hammer. And now, as far as I'm aware, I have every component of the Triple Transforming Megazord, including an extra component. So I have the green version of the Blue Ranger head, because when I bought this on Morphicon, the seller just had a couple of the pieces together, and it had this piece and not the Blue Ranger helmet. This one is actually from the second version of this toy, which Bandai America released in like the fall of the Overdrive line. And it's kind of like this, but with like different chest plates, and it's kind of primarily black. I don't like that one as designed as much as this one. I think the white just looks really nice with all these colors. And this is a silly toy. It's not a great toy. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely not great. But I really do like the look of this a lot, especially with like fan art of it. There's some potential here in this design. I really do like it. I already have it in its base Megazord mode, even though it does break up into 3 different Zords. And being triple transforming, it has a triple transforming factor to it. So when I bought this, it had no box, no instructions, but thankfully, thanks to GreenRanger.com, my buddy John Green over there has a PDF of the instructions up there, so I know what I'm doing, or at least I have an idea of what I'm doing. So we'll show off the Megazord combination again and kind of take a look at it later on in the video, but let's go ahead and start with all of these and their individual Zord components. Okay, so here's the Triple Transforming Megazord broken up into its Zord components. And they are certainly a design, so as you can see, there's no spot for you to actually put the helmets like on the Zord modes, which I'm sure is exactly why Keyshawn only had this one piece left over, and why I had the wrong piece with the Blue Ranger helmet sold to me. Such random things here, but I do like the designs in a way. There's just like nothing you can really do with these guys. So we'll go ahead and start with the Red Ranger. So all of them share the same general body mold, down to the arms that kind of just go in and out. If you thought there was articulation on here, I don't know how you would have thought that, because there's nothing that this thing can do. It's a giant brick. The only articulation is that these can rotate, but like that. Okay, so they're just giant cannons, and I guess the head can push in and out, but that's just because of the gimmick of this thing. So you just kind of put these giant cannons that become the shoulder pads in his primary formation when kind of he's the center, which is kind of the stereotypical kind of default version of this Megazord is red in command. And it's fine. I mean, I do think that the helmet is sculpted decently well and painted decently well. It is just the Overdrive red helmet there. There's no articulation with it or anything like that, so it doesn't rotate or anything. But, I mean, it's decently well done. And, like, in terms of me having this toy that is, what, 16 years old at this point? Something like that. Yeah, something like that, right? It's perfectly okay in terms of quality. Like, I don't have any really bad paint chips or anything. It's obviously a little dirty. I kind of wiped it down a little bit before this review. But like paint chip wise and everything, it's not too bad. The worst offender really is this right here. I have a good amount of paint chip on that arm, but that's not too bad. He holds this sword very weird and awkwardly because you can't move his arm. Now, unfortunately, you might have noticed this tiny little piece of red plastic right here. So let's take a little... Ooh, wow, you can't see that at all. There's that little piece of red plastic. What is that, you might ask? Well, that is the broken peg that occurred while I was transforming this. So when you saw this, like, right before the last transition, this toy was not broken, but now it is. So the peg right there, one of the two pegs that holds in the little chest plate there, snapped off, just clean off. So that is unfortunate, but it still can peg in there because it doesn't necessarily need both pegs, but now it's just going to be a little loose, which is unfortunate because the sword is continuously trying to keep bumping it to the side. But I really do like the number 1 chest plate there. It's kind of a metallic red paint. I do like it. So that is the Red Ranger Zord from this thing. Number 2 is the Black Ranger Zord. So you kind of clip in this one as sort of a shield, and I think that does work decently well. You have the hammer there, which is kind of a big version of Overdrive Black's primary main weapon, and I think that looks pretty solid. I do like the Power Rangers logo or the little lightning bolt there on the little cannon arm things, which I kind of like. The cannon is sort of obviously just one of the clips, but it does a good enough job kind of looking like a cannon. I think that, once again, my paint is pretty good. There's a little bit of some scratches and dents and stuff on there, but, you know, that's to be expected. I did pay a pretty cheap price for this thing at Morphicon, so I'm not expecting, like, pristine quality, but there's the little helmet sculpt there. And on the back, it's pretty bare back there because you don't have the little shield piece there. You have it as the kind of arm shield, so there is that. And I do like that this kind of has that sort of pinkish purple or secondary color. Like, you would think that this would be a black plate, but I do actually like it as kind of this metallic purple or kind of metallic pink. I think it kind of just helps differentiate it a little bit. And so he's kind of got all the colors because he's got, like, actually he really does, because he kind of has some gold and yellow, which is kind of like his main Zord. Then you get a little bit of blue because you steal that piece from him, and the shoulder pad or the little chest pad thing. So that is pretty cool. And we will take a look at the helmets in more detail with their primary Megazord combinations. And here is blue, which I think probably has the worst of the paint applications because they do have some pretty good silver and white paint chip there, unfortunately, but the helmet looks pretty good. Hashtag we want Dax for the Lightning Collection. Got to make sure I throw that in here in an actual Operation Overdrive video. You kind of have a recreation of his gyroscope. What is that thing called? The gyro blaster or whatever. This piece, when I got it, it was like sold like with the piece kind of off to the side, and I was like, what is this thing? And looking at pictures, I realized it clips into here, and it kind of just disappears in the instructions for the different Megazord combinations, and I don't want to lose it. So even though it's technically not accurate, I'm not going to take this off of the hand for the combinations because I just don't want to lose it. But you can bend it over there if you want to kind of make the full gyro thing, but there's no arm articulation, so you're not going to get anything out of that. And they do the same thing with the shield kind of thing back there with the number 3. And I really like just kind of how blue he is. I think it does look pretty decently nice. So that is essentially the main Zord components here. So I'm going to go ahead and transform it back into the initial combination that you saw, and then there's also the secondary and the third combinations, which are not as involved and certainly not as great, but I do like them nonetheless in some capacities. So we'll go ahead and transform this here on camera. So let's go ahead and start with black. So we'll kind of prep red last. So basically you just have to take this off and this off and take this out of his hand and fold these in. And then you're going to come back here, fold down that little tab for where it was clipped in, and then clip that in there. And that's all you have to do for black. And then blue, since he is just the exact same sculpt essentially, you have to just do the same thing. This one is pegged in pretty good there. So as you can see, it is a very simple Megazord. This is not complex. Right there. And then take that shoulder piece off, and that, and there goes the sword already. Hey, look at that! The sword was the Toku Topics drop of the week, or I guess of the episode, or whatever. So then for this one, you're going to just turn it around, and you're going to clip it in onto the front, which I still have 2 pegs onto, so that's nice. And then you're going to come over here, and, whoop, wrong direction, because you want the red facing out. Or wait, do you want the red facing out? Yeah, I think you do, right? Yeah. You can kind of have it however you want, though. I mean, you can have the black facing out, or you can have the red facing out. It's completely up to you. And then you're going to come over here and clip this one in there. And clip this one in there. And then the weapons, which, oh yeah, the sword is still on the ground. The weapons are just going to combine like that, and we'll take a look at that in a second. And then basically you have to like push down the head and then use one of these two clips on the sides of the head, which you're going to clip into the little clips down there. I don't know why there's a T written on the bottom of mine, so that's just kind of there. And then take the other one and clip it in there. And then we'll kind of move everything out of the way, including the broken peg. You're going to go over there. And then we're going to take the weapon and slot it into his hand. Now, I do find that kind of just the nature of gravity, first of all, makes this joint rather loose, but also is definitely warping the hammer there. So this is the official way to do it, is this big sword hammer thing, but I personally like to separate it and give each hand a weapon. That's just kind of my personal preference on it. But you can kind of do it however you would want. And then here's the head, kind of a closer look. So I really like the Power Rangers lightning bolt there. White detailing. You kind of get Overdrive Red's head there still, but nothing too crazy. And then you get the pegs down there, and then you're just going to cover Mac's helmet there by putting the helmet on there. And that is the default Red Ranger mode of the Triple Transforming Megazord. We're going to just raise the camera up a little bit so you can almost see the Toku Topics neon sign. So it's not terrible. I do like just kind of how, with all the white plastic there and everything, the design kind of just blends together pretty nicely. And I do like it. You still have the distinct colors, and I think by having kind of the fists and stuff there, it's nice to still have some blue up here as well as there, and some black over here as well as down here and everything. And then you kind of get a little bit of pink, and that kind of just makes it not fit as well, but something about it just does kind of work. But something about it just does kind of work for me. I am a fan of it. So if you're curious about articulation, that's it. Alright, so let's move on to the second combination of this thing, which is going to have the Black Ranger kind of be the primary person in charge here. Okay, so starting back at this point, we're going to have Black kind of be the main leader for this one. And this one is very similar to the main original default combination, but it's a little bit different. So basically for this one, since he's going to be the centerpiece, we are now going to take that chest plate from the behind and clip it onto the front. So we have the number 2 as the primary chest plate. Obviously, you're going to clip the red one back on the back, and you're going to do nothing to blue. You already have it in this combination from the original one. So for these, you're going to take these ones, and instead of them being arms like this, they're going to kind of just go this way. And you're going to take the little clips here that used to be, actually this one, that used to be the other like kind of hand pieces, and you're going to clip them in that way. And then let's grab this one. Which direction is that supposed to be? Is it this way? Something like that? Yeah, sure, that's how it's supposed to go. I think I actually have this rotated the wrong way, or actually I think I just have the wrong piece on there. So this one's supposed to be this one, there we go. And then this one is supposed to be like like that sort of thing. Like this. Like that. I don't know why I couldn't turn these the right direction the first time. There we go, that was not that difficult. So there's that. And then we're going to go ahead and take this piece, connect it the same way we did before. It's just red is going to go down here now. Blue is going to go the same spot that it was at. So we have that going on. And then we're going to clip this one in here. And then we're going to clip this one in here. So he's got a lot more stubbier arms. He looks very stiff. And then we have this new helmet, which I really do like. You do have these little removable, not removable, but movable guns that you can kind of have there, which I like a lot. It kind of makes me think of the head combination for, I think it's Super Daiboken. It looks kind of like that one to me in a way. This one kind of looks like the Daitenken one, or the, what did we call that one? It's going to be up on the screen here at some point here. It's that one. So I don't know why I can't think of that Megazord. It's one of my favorite designs too, but it kind of looks like that one to me, head-wise. But we have this one here. I love the little kind of pink visor and everything. And then we're just going to come up here and, of course, clip it in right there. And that is the Black Ranger version of the Triple Transforming Megazord. And I don't mind this one either. I still prefer the default Red Ranger one, but I think it's, like I said a couple seconds ago, he just looks really stiff here. And I think that's kind of the main thing. Articulation-wise, that's all. But we still have, you know, a very similar design with the feet, and I think that head looks really cool, and I do like the pink as kind of the main center chest point there. I also do kind of like the cannon hands. That's kind of neat, but obviously he can't hold the weapons. There's nowhere on the instructions for you to put them either. They kind of just completely disappear. So they're here. So I totally get why these pieces get lost with this guy, because, like, yeah, where do they go? And you don't think kids are going to not lose those things if you don't already have it. If you don't have it in the default combination that uses every piece except for the other helmets, you're gonna probably lose those. So I totally see how that would happen. But this is the Black Ranger combination, and we have one more to go. We are back to this point again here for the wackiest of the three, and that's when Dax is in charge. So I guess that is pretty fitting. So this one is weird. So if you've noticed a couple of other connection clips and stuff on here, you might have been wondering when they were going to come into use. Right now. So for this one here, just like the other ones, since Dax is going to be the primary one, we're going to take that back plate and make it into the chest plate. So just like that. So we'll leave him back there. Now for Black, I don't believe there's anything we really have to do until later, so we'll leave him like that. And the same thing for Red, we just leave him like that, and we'll do that in a second. So the next step here is to take all of these pieces, and what you're going to do with these is that you're going to have it facing this way with the port outward and kind of this obviously thing that looks like a foot but hasn't been a foot until now. And then, if I remember correctly, you're going to clip this one in this way, back here, to create one foot, and then you're going to do the same thing on the other side to create another foot. But as you can see, these are very tiny legs. So this is going to be a very tiny little Megazord. So if you didn't notice before, the bottom of this one, I think they all do, yeah, so you can kind of do this however you want, have these little clips that can fold out, which we haven't needed before, but now we do. So this is not going to want to stay in very nicely, but because there's like, it's such a weird combination. Like, that is the tightest that it gets clipped in, so, you know, brace for that. Oh, they see, we're already kind of failing, or actually folded the entire clip back in, which I knew it was going to probably do that. So, because it's not a not tight connection, but it's definitely not a sturdy one either. So we have that going on, and then we'll pan him up a little bit so we can see the three there. This is my favorite part. So we've had these giant ports back here that we've never used for anything. Well, now we are. So we're going to clip the entire... Oh, actually, I believe you actually have to swap the chest plates. I did mess that up. So put that over there. And then plug Black in there. And wow, that makes him lopsided. So let me kind of hold him there. We're actually just going to set him down for a second because we know what we have to do. We have to unpeg this and peg it back over here, and you're obviously going to do the same thing you did with Black with Red. So let's try to give him some more stability. We'll plug Red in, which did kind of work. So we have that, but we aren't done yet because this combination actually uses all the helmets. So this time, the helmets are going to become hands. So you have that one. And you have this one, and I think I have them correct. If I don't, I just have the helmets kind of inverted. So you have that as hands, and then of course we have the final head there. Taking a look at this one kind of looks like a sort of helmet redone version of the Ultimate Daiboken helmet to me. I do like the silver there and the white, and the visor is pretty cool. And then we're just gonna pop that white on there. And that is our third version of this, which I feel like has too much white going on, especially with the shoulder pads and everything, but I also kind of like this one too. It's definitely a little stubbier, but I think it kind of works, even though you had these very tiny little legs for him that makes him look like some kind of like gorilla standing or something. Because I mean, if you had them kind of forward like this way and you could bend the feet, you would kind of look like some sort of like gorilla or something. But articulation wise, that's it. So of course, same thing as all the other ones, as you probably would imagine. But I also don't hate it. I mean, it's definitely out there, and I think if you wanted to, they don't show it, but can these peg in there? So they don't really peg in there, but you could kinda... See, there's not really a gap there, so you kinda could just... You could do something like that, I guess, if you wanted to have him hold the weapons. So here's another combination using every single piece. Like I said, kinda, if you wanted to. There it is. I don't really know why you would, but... Isn't this wonderful? I genuinely do love this thing. It's so wacky that it's, you know, it's one of those things that obviously would never appear in the show. It's completely nonsensical, but it's just one of those fun Power Rangers toys. You know, it still has the kind of Power Rangers charm to it, and it does have a pretty unique uniform color scheme that I do quite enjoy. And now that I have this Green Ranger one that's kind of sitting over here too, that I don't have any purpose for, I kind of want to get the second version of this as well. So let me know down in the comments below. Do you want to see a video on the second version? Did you like this video? Because if you guys want to see a video on it, and this video does well enough, I will buy the second version to do a video on that one too. But wow, this one was fun. I like this. And that's going to do it for my video review of the Power Rangers Operation Overdrive Triple Transforming Megazord version 1 from I think the spring version of the toy line. You can find it for like $20 to $40-ish on eBay, you know, in kind of varying stages of complete. But if you want to track down something random for your Power Rangers collection, or you like Operation Overdrive, or you like Power Rangers exclusive stuff, I can highly recommend this thing. I really do think it's a fun novelty thing. It's not the greatest Megazord by far, but it's one of my favorite design Megazords that I actually have in my collection, and I mean that like dead seriously. I really do like how this thing looks in all three of its combinations to a degree. I think basically I would say that number 1 is the best, number 3 is probably the second best, and probably 2 is the worst, but it's still not terrible. It's a fun thing. So I'm happy I was able to get one of these for my collection at Morphicon. I'm happy I was able to track down the pieces that I was missing for a reasonable enough price point. Not happy that that Red Ranger peg broke in the middle of this video, but you know, that's what's going to happen with a toy that is over 15 years old. But let me know down in the comments below, do you have this version? Do you have the second version of this released in the different color scheme with the different chest plates? Do you have anything else from Operation Overdrive? And what do you think of these kind of Bandai America wacky creations back then when it was kind of one of their first times diving into it, where we weren't just using Sentai mecha molds and kind of just doing our own thing. So if you guys want to comment about it down in the comments below, I want to read it. And until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LiveRangerKey or LightningFigPR, and I'll see you all later. To wrap up this video, I'd like to thank my $5 and above patrons: Jurassic Samurai, Maggot Alchemist, Robert Browning, Static Thunder, Brendan Overland, Maji Yellow, Redstone MCPC, Comics 1017, James Doherty, Monster Rocket, John Luke, Eric Berry, Tyler Bazetsky, and Matthew Thorne. You can support Toku Topics for as little as $1 a month on my Patreon, link in the description below.